everybody, it's me. Today we're going to be talking to Tristen Crone about her book, Playing for Keeps. And a little spoiler alert, I forgot to get out of my costume. So I'm just in my costume for the whole interview, so I'm so sorry.
3, 2, 1.
Nice.
I'm a Bajoran. You see my little nose creases?
Yeah.
Because in Star Trek, like almost every alien species looks like a human, just with like something attached to their face.
Oh no, it looks great. I like that blue on you.
Yes, I'm in the science division. I have a red shirt, but that's for a different.
Not the best to be. Yeah. I know that much about Star Trek. It's like you don't want to be a red shirt.
Oh my gosh. So let's go ahead and everybody welcome Tristen. And today we're going to be talking about her book, Playing for Keeps. Yay! And for those of you who don't know Tristen started working on Raylo fan fiction, and then she's really kind of expanded on and beyond. And Playing for Keeps just came out, and she has some other books in the works too. So we're here to learn all about the book. And full disclosure, I had the luck of being able to beta this fine work. And I loved it then, and I love it now, and it's so strong. And tell us about the book, about the idea, about talk to me, Tristen. Talk to me.
So, as you mentioned, I had started in fic and had been playing around with getting back to original. I had written a trilogy a couple of years ago that was YA, and it's so bad. Like it'll never ever see the light of day. But because I've been writing fic for a while and kind of stretching those writing muscles again, I was like, you know what? Maybe this would be worth looking into again. And then another Raylo, very big, prominent Raylo, got a book deal, Ali Hazelwood. And my brain just did like this little, well, if somebody else is doing it, why not you? So it took a couple months to write it. And I feel super bad for you and the other betas because you always read it in like the worst condition. And I was very, very lucky to get it signed during like a Twitter pitch event. So yeah, it's been about a year in the making since I signed, a little bit over a year. And it's been surreal to have it be out there because people are just like making their own opinions about it. I have no control over that anymore. But yeah, so it was kind of inspired by little bits of my life. My husband is a very big board gamer, and I thought that was really interesting kind of background setting that I hadn't seen very often in romance. So I was like, you know what? I think there could be something there. And yeah, I just wanted to write a story about two normal people falling in love and kind of life's pitfalls and how they navigate those.
Yeah, definitely. And they definitely are come off as real people. Like this is a person that I would meet like on the street, but they're so Farron's so cute. She's just so cute. Like, and Sebastian is just like that strung out guy that from the office. It's just like this guy needs a vacation. He is burnt out, he just needs a poor break.
Yeah, definitely lean very heavily into the grumpy sunshine of my fanfic roots. But I like that. I like the opposites attract because I feel like often we have these dormant pieces inside of us, and sometimes we just need to meet the right person to kind of wake them up and encourage them. So I like that little bit of a foil.
Yes, yes. And I love that the book is like nerdy with board games. Like you mentioned Ali Hazelwood, and that's something that she does too, is she like leans into the nerd. So like if that's something like you're pretty aware of, like I write stuff that I like, I'm from Boston, so I cheat and I'm like, my stories are either in a fantasy world or they're in Boston because I know it.
Well, I mean, my second book is not in a setting that I'm familiar with, so that was harder. But I think when you're writing something, especially when you want there to be like an emotional core it's much easier to dive into that side of the story when you're not worried about like, hey, does that street exist? Or like, would people even be able to go to a coffee shop like that? So kind of grounding things and things you're familiar with, I think, is a good way to set yourself up for a more comfortable writing experience.
Yeah. And I know I really like the coffee shop or the cafe that they go to play board games in. And I've seen things like that in towns too, where it's just like, hey, on this night everybody's playing board games, and sometimes the cafe even has some just to like this is something we do. So I like that.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Boston. There's one in Boston because we were looking into that when we were up there last year, but it was like way out of like downtown area. So yeah, definitely something that's either gaining more popularity or I'm just gaining more awareness of it. I think maybe it's a little bit of both. And I also think that things like Stranger Things kind of bringing D&D back into the forefront, Critical Role, all these things that are like really uplifting these nerdy things that people may have looked down on in the past, but now they're like, you know what, that sounds pretty cool. So I think board games are definitely getting a bit of a boost because of that. Like people are looking into other hobbies. No hate to sports people, but I'm not sporty, so this is my kind of scene. I'm an indoor girl.
I totally hear you that. Indoor girl all the way. Somebody said to me the other day, just like, what have you done for summer so far? And it was like, somebody gave me this rainbow sprinkler. This is actually a sprinkler.
Yeah.
And so on one Sunday we went out and we did a sprinkle. And we did like one other event outside. So it's like middle of July right now. Oh, end of July right now. Mm-hmm. And I've done 2 summery things.
I mean, yeah, I feel you. I was going to say, what have you done? Sat in the AC and read and written. That's about it. We did go out one weekend. It was like 96-degree day. We were out on the playground and I'm like, I don't even want to touch the middle. Like, let alone like these poor kids. I don't know how they're handling it. And then there was like a penny farthing or a big wheel race in downtown. So that was like the summer thing I've done so far. Everything else is like, no, it's gross out. I don't want to be here.
Well, since we're here, tell us a little bit about the plot of the book.
So it kind of starts off with a bad first impression. I feel like I wanted to do something that pulled from normal romance tropes, which is usually like people bumping into each other, like how do we do the meet cute? But I wanted to have it be not so cute. So like not terrible, but I did want to have it because like most people, if you're bumping into a stranger or a stranger's messing with your day, your first thought isn't going to be, oh my gosh, he's my soulmate. So I did want to have it be kind of like a moment where they both get pulled out of their comfortable little circles because she's a board gamer, he's not, he's a workaholic, and he's coming in. The one thing he's been looking forward to all week, they do these specialty pastries at this coffee shop that he walks by on his way home. And he's like, I saw this on Facebook. I'm getting this, which the pastry is based on a real one. That's like from one of our local bakeries. It just always sounded so good. And then he gets there, and this board gamer who's just having fun with her friends, because clearly she's got nothing better to do, takes the last one. And he kind of like has like a mini meltdown. A lot of people have not reacted well to that, but I'm like, dude, sometimes that thing's the only thing that's getting you through the day. So yeah, it's kind of like him being like, oh no, I need that pastry way more than you do. You have no idea what's going on with me. And she's like, okay, well, you look like you need a break. If you really want it that badly, I'll play you for it. So it kind of starts with them opening up to each other and just taking a breath together, which I feel like we often like live past people with how focused we are on ourselves and our lives and our jobs. So it just felt like a very nice way to slow things down and create a connection. And just as these two kind of navigate like their past, things that have been holding them back, things that they want for the future, and how each of them helps the other person get the confidence to put that into words and also to go for it. Because I think both of them know like where they're at and where they want to be and how they're not there, but they just needed kind of like a catalyst to be like, you know what? Yeah, some things do need to change. So yeah. I would say that it's kind of a cozy, low stakes romance about people finding themselves and finding each other is the easiest way I can sum it up.
And you did some really great things to like promo the book too. Like you took the game that they played in the story and you actually like gave that away, right?
Yeah. So all the games that are mentioned, besides the game that Farron is developing, which is not really a spoiler alert, but spoiler alert, she wants to be a game designer. So everything except that game is a real game. And it's a game that I've played because I wanted to draw from what I know. And I also wanted to introduce some people who may just be like casual gamers, the Clue, Scrabble, Monopoly crowd. To be like, hey, try something else. You can also have fun with that. So
Yeah.
the
Settlers of
game is called
Catan,
Nia.
girl. I'm a Settlers of Catan girl.
Catan is great. I love Catan. Um, but yeah, I wanted to kind of have a two-player game. I feel like doesn't get as much love because gaming is usually like a group activity. So I definitely wanted to highlight like one of my favorite two-player games. And it's
Cards
never
Against Humanity.
malicious. It's never malicious. Because there's some games where it's like, I just screwed you over. So this is just like a nice, quiet, almost like a Connect 4 game, but so pretty. There's these beautiful tiles that come with it. And yeah, so that was a little bit of a love letter to the game that I added in there. And then I wanted somebody else to be able to enjoy that as well, the way they did. So I thought about that as soon as I knew I put that game in the book. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put this in a promo thing. Somebody's gonna enjoy this. So
you put other things in your promos too. Like you had bookmarks, right? That you did?
Yeah. So I have like a little bookmark that's got like pieces from the cover, kind of like these little game pieces and the title card. And then I also had an art piece
Love that.
commissioned by one of my favorite Raylo artists, Panda Cappuccino. Shout out. So yeah, that's kind of a reward to myself when I finish a story, and I think that I'm gonna really go for it. I'm like, I want to see what these characters look like outside of my head. So I usually put like a huge paragraph and like pictures and send it to the artist, and I'm like, here's what I had in mind. Let me know what you think. I actually did that today for the cover proposal of book 2, but yeah, I'm a visual person, so I really like the art commissions to kind of show either an important scene from the movie or just capture the characters' vibes.
Yeah, I remember you got, because I've also gotten to read a version of your second book coming out, and you showed me another piece that you commissioned that was just gorgeous, like the two of them like on like a Vespa. Yeah. Is it a Vespa? Yeah, together.
Yeah, it's a Vespa.
And it was just so sweet and so sexy, and I was just like, oh, like even if I didn't know anything about the book, I would want to read the book now because I'm looking at this art.
This is my agenda. I grew up on 80s and 90s historical romance bodice rippers. So like this, the reference photo for this is a historical romance cover. This actually started out as an art commission as well, and the publisher liked it so much, she's like, let's put it on the cover. But I definitely want the characters connecting, touching, kind of like interacting with each other, because even though it's animated or like illustrated covers are very popular right now, I feel like there's usually like one is on this corner of the cover, one is on the other, and the words are in the middle. And I really wanted the couple to kind of like be the focus. So definitely going to be leaning into that as well with the second one. We'll see what the artist says and what she thinks that we can do, but I'm really excited.
I like doing things like that too. So for for anyone who hasn't picked up one of my books yet, like my degree is in animation illustration, so I illustrate my books. And somebody actually brought that up to me, just like, do you have any pictures that are like in that style where the characters are like, yeah, like in each other's arms? And I was like, I did do one of those. I did do one of those. And I was so proud of myself that like instinctually I made them like draped over each other.
It's so fun. And I feel like the people who know would get it, and the people who don't, maybe this will be like a soft gateway for them. But yeah, definitely like also I wanted to stick with my Raylo roots. So all the artists that I commission and even the cover designers, they're all Raylos as well. So I was like, yeah, we need to uplift each other in the community, and why not like
I feel like a lot of us
anybody else up.
Keep it in the family. Like we like all of my cover designs have been done by Raylo artists. Well, Raylo cover designers too. So keep it in the family.
Oh, because everybody is so talented. I mean, it's just this wealth of like artists and writers, and even the like Photoshop stuff that people do. I'm like, how did you do that? It looks like them for real.
Like the Dinkum Raylo. I can't even tell.
Hey.
Like this could just be like a real picture, and I would never know.
Yeah. Also, I have your books back there if you want me to show them to the audience. I don't know if you have yours handy.
Oh my God, I'm so obnoxious. I keep them on my desk so that way I can like bring them out during work meetings. Like I legit like I'm just like, oh, have you read my book like about it?
I need to get better at that. My husband is so much better than I am. He's just like, my wife read a book, buy it. He even had a QR code that he made up when we did pre-orders.
Really? Oh
and I'm
God.
just like, I'm an author. If you like romance, maybe it'll be for you.
Oh my gosh, I get so embarrassed though. Like one of my IT colleagues messaged me the other day and they were like, I just started your book and it's like the spiciest one.
Oh yeah.
And like the very
Is
first words, like the very first like sentence has the C word in it. And I'm just like, my head of HR bought it. And she was like, oh, my daughter likes the cover. I was like, no. Like, do not let your daughter
18 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a moment like that. My friends have been like ribbing me about it. Where they're like, oh, do you have spicy stuff? Read your spicy stuff to us. I'm like, I'm not drunk enough for us to have this conversation. If you buy the book, it's your choice whether or not you want to read chapter 12, but I don't want to hear about it.
Oh my gosh, my mom told me, she's like, you're really good at writing sex. I'm like,
my mom said the same thing to me, and I wanted to crawl into a hole. She's like, I don't know if your imagination is just good or what you guys have going on there, but I'm like, I'm not talking about this with you. Like, I love you, but no.
Something else I loved about the book was the plus size representation, because I know that you and I have talked about that. Like, there really isn't a lot of that. And I thought that was so special, and that Farron is still beautiful, right? You know, and like look at that artwork that you had created. Like, she's gorgeous. And I loved that so much.
Yeah, I wanted it to feel like, again, that they were just real people. A lot of books that have plus size representation, it's usually about the character kind of coming to terms with themselves and their bodies and learning to love themselves. And that is very valid and definitely needed. And when I started reading romance that had plus size characters, it like definitely helped me with myself and my self-esteem. But I wanted Farron's size, her fatness, her body to just be there in the background. Like, it's not a plot point. She's just a person who's plus size and she's falling in love like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted it to feel natural. I didn't want to draw a ton of attention to it. It was just there. Like, hey, she's a blonde, or, you know, hey, she likes board games. So there's like a tiny bit where she touches on it, where she's like, in the past, you know, like, I may have felt like this, but right now, like, I've worked hard for the confidence that I have, and I know my worth. So that was very important to me, to kind of have it be positive.
Yeah.
And again, natural. That's what I was going for with most of this. Although a lot of people want my characters to be in therapy. So
all characters need to be in therapy. Like, I'm a full believer that humans in general need to be in therapy. I'm in therapy. Same. Everyone needs therapy.
Yeah. One of my characters in book 2 actually goes to therapy. And this was before people started saying Farron and Special need to go to therapy. But yeah, the reviews are like, wow, these people have issues. They need to go to therapy. I'm like, you know what? You're probably right. Maybe like down the line, now that they've got their shits together, they can go to therapy.
That's book 2.
Book 2. I don't have like a plan for a second book. I have played with the idea of having like a spin-off novel, which I haven't brought up to my publisher. It just lives in my head.
Surprise!
But there's a character that works with Sebastian. Her name's Rachel, and she was supposed to be a really small character, and then she was just kind of sassy, and I really liked writing her, so she kept getting more and more scenes. So if I were to do
that, characters are just like, by the way, I want more space on this page.
Yeah, so if I ever do something with that, it probably would be kind of her story. Maybe they're not throwing a mention of Farron, especially with therapy.
Yes. Oh, and just as a spoiler alert, you mentioned that Farron is blonde. Farron used to be a redhead.
She did used to be a redhead, yeah. And then we had too many redheads at LCP. So my publisher was like, I got like 3 or 4 redheads. Can you change her hair color? I'm like, yeah, sure. It's not a big deal. I thought I was being unique making her a redhead, but apparently everybody had the same idea.
You know, of all the things they could ask you to change, like, okay, that one's easy.
Yeah, it was so small. I was like, oh yeah, great. I was ready to scrap off the book. So I feel like you can relate. We're so hard on ourselves with the writing.
So hard.
So whenever
So
I
hard.
get feedback and you guys are like, yeah, it's good. I'm like,
You must not be
lying to
reading
me."
this right.
Like, yeah, I was like, you're lying to me. You don't, I think I've even said to you, I'm like, you don't have to be nice. Like, you can tell me.
Yeah. I tell people to rip me apart. And then like and then like if they do, like usually it's like so positive, but there's like this one moment where they'll like
Yeah.
rip me apart and I'll be like, that means
I
that
just have to like take a day and then I come back and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But at first, like, what do you mean it's not perfect?
but when it
It's
comes
such like a
no, please go ahead.
it's like such a like a juxtaposition within my own mind, like this dissonance where I'm like, it's great. I hate it. Like,
And I go through that in stages, right? Like it's a roller coaster. I'm like, this is great. I'm doing a great job. This is amazing. I'm like, God, oh, this sucks. This sucks. I'm trash. I should never write another word.
yep. Yeah. Definitely a roller coaster.
And when it comes to small changes, I actually had to make a small change recently. I had 2 main characters. His names were Niles and Noah. And I realized in a scene, the 2 N names were so like it was just hard to read because their names were so similar. So I had to go do like a replace all, and I'm just like, what's like an all-American name, like a bland blonde boy that you see like everywhere?
Cameron.
What's like a nondescript, non-sexy name? I was like, Jason. With apologies.
Jason is great. Jason is perfect.
Like it's just like bland, like nothing special. It's sorry to all Jasons. You are unique and individual, Snowflake.
I feel that. I feel like I'm so bad at naming, especially the side characters. Like the main character is like, yeah, okay, cool. It helps inform their like character. I often look at the name meanings before I name them. Side characters, though, I had like 2 Darios in all of you. I was just like, oh wait, you guys are not the same person. We can't have 2 Darios. This is not gonna go well.
And I even felt bad. I messaged you because I was like, I made my main love interest named Tristen, but with an A-N instead of an E-N. Like the muse was just like, this is his name.
That's
can't
a good
change.
name. I'm obviously biased, but I've been watching All Creatures Great and Small, which is kind of like if Call the Midwife was about vets. Like yeah, so one of the characters' names is Tristen, and he's a little bit of a troublemaker. So every time they're yelling Tristen, it took me like a couple days to get used to like, oh, they're not yelling at me.
What
did I do? I'm just sitting here. Yeah.
Now we talked a little bit about the next book, right? In the Daria. Tell us a little bit about what the next book is going to be and when it comes out.
So it's coming out July of next year. As of right now, I think it's the 24th, but the dates might change. For sure, it's July. And it's about male point of view only, which is new for me. But it's about Matteo, and he is supposed to inherit his dad's company, but he's a bit of a wastrel. He's a little bit of like a playboy, and the company's just like, listen, we're not handing anything over to you until you've proven yourself. We're just going to vote you off if you can't do this properly. So
you're voted off the island.
Yeah, they're like, your dad had this property not connected to the business, and there's like a clause in the agreement, because he was an investor, that if he didn't get his return back or if it wasn't successful enough, he could take sole ownership of it. So we want you to go there. We want you to prove that you can do this by basically doing like a hostile takeover. And then you'll show us you have like the business acumen and the ruthlessness to run a business on this scale. So he's like, yeah, you know what? I got nothing better to do. I kind of hate myself in my life. So Italy sounds great. And he goes to Italy, ends up having like a super hot one-night stand, and then finds out that the current owner of this olive grove that he's going to take over is his one-night stand. So it's kind of like this big secret between them. He doesn't know how to come clean and kind of honor his legacy, honor what his dad wanted for him, while he's falling for this person who's like totally off limits to him because his plan is to go in there and take over her livelihood. So definitely higher stakes than playing for keeps, but a lot of fun. And I just wanted to go on a vacation when I was done writing this book. I'm like, I want to go to Puglia. I want to go eat focaccia and like have the best olive oil in the world and everything like that. So yeah, definitely if you like fish out of water stories, if you like girl boss farmers, if you like heat and summer and lots of food mentions in your reads.
Does it count as office romance because they work with each other? Like just their office is not in an office?
I think yes, but I need to find. I'm going to use that trope, but I need to find a way to like phrase it so that people don't think they're in an office.
Not an office
workplace secret rivals. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We're not there yet. We've got some time.
Yeah, but so I'm really excited. It feels, even though Mateo's a hot mess, it feels almost more lighthearted than Playing for Keeps. I think just because it's in such a sunny and happy environment. Playing for Keeps was in the fall in DC, going into the winter, so it's cozy, but it's not like exuberant or hot, or this felt like that.
I like that, like, you put out your first book with Lake County Press, and now you get your second book with Lake County Press, but you've done some great promotion leading up to the launch and the release and the pre-release, and you did great. Like, you were up there in the ranks. You were showing like these screenshots of like, you were like the number, oh my gosh, I forget what number, but you were up there.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble, that was a fever dream. I'm still surprised that it did so well. I'm just glad that it happened before Twitter like burned and crashed and died, because I would have been crying. That's where most of the people I know are. So I'm very, very lucky that people have been responding to this story and being so supportive, because honestly, like, none of this would be possible without the people reading.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that's been kind of special, is that, within the fan network, like, we all know each other and we all buy stuff, but then it becomes like this new thing, because now new people who aren't in the fandom start buying your work and experience your work, and then that's like both exhilarating and also scary, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, you've written books yourself now, and you've written fan work, so you know that there's like this, although you pre-write your stuff, I was doing chapter by chapter, and I was feeding off of the feedback that I was getting to kind of steer the story. Writing a book is it's like such a shot in the dark. You don't know if it's going to resonate with people once it's out there. People are going to love it, if they're going to hate it. So definitely way more nerve-wracking. And especially, like you said, now that it has spread past the fandom, I'm just like, are people going to get it? Because this is very much like a nod to my AU Ben Solo Ray dynamic. So yeah, seeing people respond to it has been interesting. I had to stop reading the reviews because I was getting like so in my head about it. And my husband's like, "You're supposed to stop this." I'm like, "They hate them. They said they stop rooting for them." So I was like, yeah, okay, you're banned from Goodreads. If people like it, they'll like it. If they don't, they don't. And it got much easier once the book was actually out. This was mostly when it was arcs and people responding to those, like the first few reactions to it. But yeah, the book kind of just becomes its own thing. It belongs to the people who are reading it at that point. It's no longer mine. I have to share it. And once I have,
and I'm gonna say right now, you just got down on yourself, and I'm gonna nix that right now, because you have good reviews. Like, you have all these good reviews, and you have a good star rating. Like, people like listening to this book, like listening to this video is going to be like, oh well, it's she's only talking about the bad reviews. That's just because we're self-deprecating.
I was gonna say that is my personality.
We're just self-deprecating, but she has awesome reviews and high star ratings. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Because I want to improve, and I think that a lot of the lessons that I've taken from this book, I'm going to be carrying through with everything else that I write afterwards. I feel like this is a solid debut, and I'm really excited to keep going. I think at this point, I'm just going to get better. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. Well, as you get better too, you notice more mistakes, but
well, that's why editors have a job.
Yes. Yes, very thankful for them because I do not know how to use commas properly.
Oh my God, commas are the bane of my existence. Like, I have no idea if I need them or not.
I'm just like Salt Bae sprinkling them in everywhere.
Ellipses, M dashes.
I didn't know what an M dash was before fanfic. You guys were like, you should be using an M dash. I'm like, what is this magical thing of which
They're
you
in
speak?
Harry Potter. They're like everywhere in Harry Potter.
Also, I was using them wrong. I kept putting spaces. We did like an exchange. I don't know if you were in that exchange in one of the discords where we had to like guess whose work was whose work. And I got outed because they're like, this is Tristen because she's using the M dashes wrong. I was like, oh well, I didn't know I was. Okay, lesson learned.
So let's talk really quickly about the publishing process and how it took like a year to come out. Like, was that just a lot of revisions? Is that based on their schedule? Like, how does that work?
So it's a little bit of both. Also to kind of give us time to build up an audience. It's hard to launch a book when you don't have as much presence within bookish spaces. So definitely making connections, engaging, having that year or however long it is helps a lot. I did have some developmental edits that needed done. I obviously had like line and copy edits that needed done. The cover design process, formatting process, all of that takes time. And Lake Country Press has a bunch of other authors that they have scheduled as well. So it's kind of a little bit of both where like, yes, it needed work along a certain time schedule. And then also I had to wait my turn for like, okay, now Tristan's going in with the editor, and then she's going in with cover design. So it's a lot of small steps that I think people may just not even realize when they think of like, oh, the book's coming out. Because I've had people be like really surprised when I said, it's coming out next year. Like, what, next year? I'm like, yeah, they need to fix what I put down there. Like, it needs work. And then also explaining like, yeah, they need to design the cover. There's like a lot of discussion that goes into that. I am very lucky that I had so much input on my cover. And I will say that's one of my favorite things about small presses. You have so much more of a say. And I really appreciate that. I've had such a great experience so far. But yes, books take time, they take a community, they take a lot of effort and love. And hopefully that comes out in the final product.
And you said you got this opportunity with a Twitter.
Yeah, so like Twitter pitch. I don't know if there's a shortened version of it.
I mean, a twit, like I know that twit is an insult, so I don't know if I'm supposed to twit anything.
I think they just call them pitch events. But yeah, so Lake Country Press had a pitch event. I had actually entered Author Mentor Match, which was another pitch event before that where they help you review and edit. And didn't make it to the final round, but made it far enough to get feedback from one of the mentors. That helped me a ton. And then like 2 weeks after that, I had like just finished the revisions. And also, don't do what I did. This book that final chapter didn't exist. When I pitched this book to Brett, it just ended with the convention. There was no like time skip or anything. So between when I pitched it to Lake Country Press and when I sent my full, I had like done more revisions and added an extra chapter. Don't do that. Make sure your stuff is polished. But yeah, so Lake Country Press had had an event where they said specifically what they were looking for, and then you just put like a little bit of a tagline. I did a couple of tropes and a tagline. Obviously, Twitter used to have a word limit, so it was 240 characters. And yeah, one of my tweets got a like, and I just remember freaking out. So I'm kind of sad that those events are going to probably go away because of what's happening there now. But definitely, if you come across them in the wild, go for it. It's a fun way to even just to get to know your book and figure out what the elevator pitch for it is, because that's very helpful to have, like knowing how to explain
it. Pitch is so hard. So hard. Like, you want me to write like 80,000 words? Got it. You want me to write a sentence? I'm lost.
Well, okay, and it gets worse and worse because it's synopsis, then a query, then an elevator pitch, and just like you have to keep condensing it down. And I'm like, but what if I don't have big stakes? It's just people falling in love with each other. So it was definitely hard to kind of figure it out. But I've had a year to figure it out. I think I'm kind of there now.
All right, the next time I query, I'm tagging you and I'll be like, Tristen, help me create a pitch line. That's
Sometimes it's much easier for somebody on the outside because they're not so close to it. I had a lot of help I mean, you helped me with my query, Liana helped me with my query, and having that extra set of eyes who's not personally invested and like freaking out helps a lot. So definitely writing in the writing community are invaluable.
Yeah, I agree with you. I couldn't have done anything without the support of other people. I started reading fan fiction, and like I was like, oh, I kind of want to write one, but I don't have an idea. Like, and I don't want to write anything unless it's different than other things that I'm reading. And then I finally had an idea, and I like posted it somewhere. I don't know, just like I finally have an idea. And within a half an hour, I was in a writer's Discord group. I was writing like in a Google document, and people were editing my stuff live, like within like a half an hour. And if that never happened, then that stupid fan of books I just did would never have come out.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's really important to have people like to bounce ideas off of, but also to like talk you out of your existential crisis. It's like, yes, like you just said, like it's good though. It is good. Like, but I want to burn it. Don't burn it yet. Give it another chance.
I like the word yet, the use of the word yet. Don't burn it.
We can still fix it, or just put that first draft in a document, burn the first draft, and keep the polished one.
I like that. So if we're looking at advice to give to other authors that are out there, do you have any words of wisdom?
None of us know what we're doing. I always felt like, oh, everybody's got it figured out. But having made more author friends, being in this quote unquote industry now, everybody's freaking out. All we want to do is do what we love and hope it finds an audience. So don't feel intimidated. You are just as good, just as worthy as anybody else who is published. There's just a couple of hurdles you have to hit before you get there. Whichever path you choose, again, still valid. My big thing would be, like I said, find a good community, because you are your own worst enemy. If you stop yourself, it's not going to happen. You have enough obstacles waiting outside. So have a good group of people to give you feedback, give you affirmation when you need it, and just keep going. Just persistence really does pay off.
I agree. So thank you for spending time with us today, Tristen. I'm going to try that again. Thank you for spending time with us today, Tristen. You've only been my friend for years. I don't know.
Hey, it happens. Somebody thought my name was Krista because I had like fixed the like, oh, Tristen. I'm like, Kristen. I'm like, no, Tristen with the T. Kristen, no, Tristen with the T. Krista, sure. That's Krista now. It was even worse back in South Africa because it's not a popular name. At least, yeah, like in the US, people know the name. South Africa, like, I've never heard that. Good luck. Thanks, Mom, for
I'm glad you got to come here and become a Krista for everything.
Thank you, Brad Pitt, for making my life so much harder.
That's exactly where I got the name from for the boy character. I was like, it has to be like from Legends of the Fall.
I need to watch that. I haven't seen it yet.
It's a good movie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun chatting with you.
All right, so everybody make sure that you give us a like and subscribe. And if you have any questions that you want to put in the chat, I'll make sure that Tristen gets a copy of them so that she can give you an answer. And Tristen will stay on with me, but we'll say goodbye to everybody else. So goodbye.